Okay, this is lesson 13.4. We are going to go over the warm-ups. Go ahead and pause the video and then check your answers. Okay, find the zeros. This has to be something that you can do very easily. I need to take my quadratic equation and I need to figure out what each x equals. I will have two different values for my x. I'm going to break this into two binomials. You should be very, very, very used to this because we've been doing this for quite some time. So I need two numbers multiplied together, give me -5, but add up to 4. I'm going to go with +5 times -1. That adds up to +4. So +5 minus 1, doesn't matter where they are. Now, this next step you should be very familiar with too. This is set equal to y, but I'm going to treat it like it's set equal to 0. So I have to solve for each x. So I have x plus 5 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. From here on out, I'm not going to show this step. You have to. This is such an easy step. I subtract 5 to both sides, x equals -5. I add 1 to both sides, x equals +1. Okay? So to find my zeros, I take my two x values, and I set each of them in an ordered pair with my y value being 0. That's all I'm doing. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. I got x1 and x2 from right here. It doesn't matter which one is x1 and x2. I got it from right here, and then I set them equal to 0 because they're my zeros or my legs. Okay? That's easy. You should know how to do that. Okay? Say okay a lot. Okay? I do. I also say, okay, now, a lot. Okay, now we're going to find our vertex. It's very easy to find our vertex as long as we know the opposite of b times 2a. There's a -1 here. That's a. That's b. That's c. So, the opposite of b all over 2 times a. I rewrite. This is how I find x. I rewrite. That's how I find the x value of my vertex. I rewrite this formula right here, and now I'm going to substitute stuff in. What does my b equal? My b is -2. That's why I have the empty parentheses. It's -2. My a is -1. Well, so the opposite of -2 is +2. 2 times -1 is -2. This equals -1. So now I have found that x equals -1. Okay? I haven't done any kind of difficult math. The most difficult math I've done is back up here when I have to get two numbers that multiply to -5 but add up to +4. And I've showed you the simple way of doing that. List your multiples. Start with 1. So, I know my x is -1, so right here and right here, that's where I'm going to substitute in -1. So I'm going to rewrite this whole thing. I'm going to put the opposite, empty parentheses, squared, -2, empty parentheses, plus 8. I have taken out the x's and put empty parentheses. And inside those empty parentheses, I'm going to put -1. Look at this. I'm using all kinds of colors. Yay! I put it right underneath. Now, if you turn this into a +1 and square it, you're going to get the wrong answer. You have to do exponents first. -1 squared is +1, correct? Yes. The opposite of +1 is -1. plus 2 plus 8, negative 1 plus 10 equals 9. My y value equals 9, so my vertex is at negative 1, 9. There is nothing at all difficult about this. Okay, so now we're going to take this information and we're actually going to graph it. Today, all we're going to do is graph. All right, remember, and I told you this yesterday, if the x squared is positive, the parabola is happy. It's smiling. Yay! It's happy. If your x squared is negative, your parabola will frown. He's unhappy. That's the only thing the negative and the positives tell you. Now, you cannot find your legs if you have a negative x squared. If your x squared is negative, you cannot find your legs. Okay? Your x squared has to be positive in order to find your legs. So, the first thing we're going to do is what, kids? What are we going to do first? We're going to find the what? What do we find first? We find our legs first. Step 1. Find legs. How do I find my legs? How do I find my legs? I factor, yes. I factor this quadratic equation into 2 binomials. So I factor into 2 binomials are two-term equations. So this y is just like 0 for now. Dun, 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 dun. Is my leading coefficient 1? Yes, it is. Right here is my leading coefficient. It is 1. So I don't have to do the long way. I can do the easy way. I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 5, but add up to negative 4. Negative 5 is easy because it's prime. The only numbers are 1 and 5. So I either need negative 1 times 5 or positive 1 times negative 5. How am I going to get negative 4? Positive 1, negative 5. X plus 1, x minus 5. So now I take these and I set them to x plus 1 equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0. Now I solve for x. X equals negative 1 and x equals positive 5. Nothing new here. We've already done this. Nothing new here. So my legs are negative 1, 0, and 5, 0. So then I go to negative 1, 0, and I put my dot. And I go to 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put my dot. Notice how I've used the colors. Look how it's color coordinated. Now, that's not a lot of work. It's easy. You already know how to do everything here except putting your dots on the graph. And let's be honest, you should know how to do that. Now, here I'm going to give you a little hint. Because sometimes you guys use the wrong numbers for your letters. I'm going to erase this. Because next we have to find our what? Next we have to find our... There you go. So, step 3. Find vertex. Use the opposite of B over 2A. There's your A. There's your B. There's your C. Your B is negative 4. Your C is negative 5. You don't need your C, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways. Now, I'm going to show you a little hint that should help you, and it won't, but that's okay. Sometimes you'll use the wrong number for B, and your vertex will end up way over here, like this. And then you'll just do what you do, and you'll just go, well, there's my parabola. A parabola tracks the flight of something. Or you'll put it way up here, and you'll go, a parabola tracks the flight of something. There is no way for you to be standing right here and throw this ball in the air and have the ball travel like this. Now, somebody said, if it hits a wall last hour, duh. If it's a frisbee, duh. If the wind is blowing really hard, you know what? I've thrown a ball into the wind. And unless you're in a stinking hurricane, I have never seen wind strong enough to throw a ball back at me. Now, the wind might cause your trajectory to not be as high as if there was no wind. But a ball's going to be in an arc. Things that fly are going to be in an arc. A rocket ship should go in an arc, but a rocket ship has an engine. So a rocket ship could launch like this and then come back like that. But it has an engine. It has its own power. We're talking about things that go in the air that don't have their own power. So with that being said, what were my legs? -1? With that being said, the distance that the ball travels up should be the same distance the ball travels down. So I know that my vertex, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, should be right here in the middle of my legs. Your vertex is in the middle of your legs. Okay? In between your legs is your vertex. So when I find my vertex, if it shows up anywhere other than in between my legs, I'm going to question it. Let's see what happens. The opposite of B all over 2 times A. B is -4, A is 1. This equals 4 over 2, which equals 2. So x equals 2. Let me see. 1, 2. Yes. My vertex is in the middle of my legs. I'm good so far. So now I found my x value, but I knew my x value going in. And 90% of the time in this class, that's where it'll be. Do you have situations where your vertex is not in the middle, in between your legs? Yes. Yes, you do. But in this class, mostly it's going to be in the middle. Okay, so now I substitute my 2 back in for my x's. And I solve to get my y, because this is y equals. So here I have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5. 4 minus 8 minus 5. Minus 4 minus 5, y equals -9. So my vertex equals 2 minus 9. So let's go down. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right there. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. I connect my vertex dot to that leg, my vertex dot to that leg. There it is. My parabola. I know it's supposed to be shaped like a U. I'm tired of writing U's. Y-O-U-N-G. I want to write V's. Y-O-V-N-G. People are looking at me like, what are you trying to spell? What's Y-O-U-N-G? Young, my last name. Oh, see? I'm tired of writing U's. I like V's. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to make that curved. I don't care if you do. I need to see that. All right? Okay, so just for the video, let's go to here. This is only for the video. Everybody else just calm down. I'll be with you in a second. Okay, look, you don't see a constant. So that means this is negative x squared plus 6x plus 0. Okay? So, what's the first thing you have to do? Actually, everybody go to number 4. Let's go ahead and do number 4. What's the first thing I have to do, guys? No, I have to find my legs, right? I have to find my legs. But what do I have to do first in order to find my legs here? What do you want me to do? You want me to take the greatest common factor out? There isn't a greatest common factor, but I do have to take something out. What do I have to take out? The negative 1. This cannot, your x squared cannot be negative. So I have to divide everything by negative 1, which means I have negative 1 times x squared minus 6x, I don't care, plus or minus 0. Now, don't write this down. I want to show you what happens when you don't do that, because you won't do that. You're going to tell me, oh, I can do this. 2 numbers that multiply to 0 but add up to 6. Huh. What 2 numbers are those? Give me 2 numbers that multiply to 0, add up to 6. None. 2 numbers that multiply to give you 0 but add up to 6. 0 and what? Yes. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 plus 6 is 6. There we go. So I have x plus 6, x plus 0. Now you think you're moving along just fine. This is wrong. So you tell me negative 6, 0 for your legs and 0, 0. So you go 0, 0 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 right here. And you are wrong. You have just flipped the legs of your parabola. Why? Well, because you have to factor out that negative 1 first. You have to... Hello? Oh, now you can me. You have to take that negative 1 out. You have to make it positive 1. When you do that, you make your positive 6 negative 6. So now, when you come over here, it's actually x minus 6 and x plus or minus 0. So now instead of being over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it needs to be right here. Because the opposite of negative 6 is 6, so you have 6, 0, and you have 0, 0. Am I moving fast? Yes. Should you be at this level right now? Yes. This is how class works. This is how a college class works. Got to get in the game. Got to get in the game. I know you came in late, but you got to get in the game. So that means I'm at 6, 0 and 0, 0, not negative 6, 0. Which changed my entire parabola. Now, what's in between my 2 parabolas? 1, 2, 3, right there is in the middle of my parabolas. I'm sorry. In the middle of my legs. 3 is in the middle of my legs. Okay? So that's where my vertex is going to be. I just don't know how far. Oops, is it going to be up or down, kids? Is it a frowny face or a happy face? It's a frowny face because it's negative. So if I go down to this area down here, quadrant 4, it'll make it happy. It has to be in quadrant 1 somewhere up here. So with all this information, you can start to see if the answer is wrong or right. I was adjusting my binoculars. I'm starting to see if the answer is right or wrong. I'm adjusting the binoculars. So now I go the opposite of B over 2 times A. Back to the original. 6. Negative 1. Negative 6 over negative 2, which equals 3. Y equals positive 3. 1, 2, 3. There's my vertex. What? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, too. Thank you for stopping me. Thank you. Oh, come on. So now I have x equals 3, which is exactly what I thought it would be, right here in the middle, at 3. Right in the middle of my legs, at 3, is where my vertex is. Very good. So now I go back to the original, and wherever I have an x, I'm going to plug in what for it, kids? I'm going to plug in 3. The opposite of 3 squared plus 6 times 3, negative 9 plus 18 equals 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everything appears to be fine. My vertex is in the middle of my legs, and it's up top, so I can make a Fu Manchu. Fu Manchu, or frowny face. Okay, one last thing I'm going to show you online, peeps, and it is number 5. This is x squared plus 0x minus 16. You then would find your legs and your vertex like we have been. All right, kids, if you have any questions, come in and ask.